not about escaping. We don't feel like it. We don't feel like it. Cause we don't feel like throwing it all away. We don't feel like it.
Empty hearts and neon lights, they're playing with my mind. Gotta get out of here tonight. Oh, I wanna run off and fly. And I'll tell myself it's fine to be alone, just to find somewhere that finally feels like home. Oh, oh, oh. I hate all this overthinking. Oh, 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 oh. The more I swim, the more I'm sinking. Take me to a world of silver. No more heartbreaks, tears, painkillers. Take me somewhere unfamiliar. Bring me back to where we started out. Get me out of now. To where we started out. Get me out of now. To where we started out. La 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 la. Oh, oh. Get me out of broken hearts and starting fights, turning truth to lies. Gotta get up, stop wasting time. Yeah, I wanna run off and fly. And I'll tell myself it's fine to be alone, just to find somewhere that finally feels like home. Oh, oh, oh. I hate all this overthinking. Oh, 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 oh. The more I swim, the more I'm sinking. Take me to a world of silver. No more
And we are live. If I get my Discord set up. Yep, I don't know. Yeah, I have set up screen open, so now we are visible for you.
Woo!
Alright,
Yeah.
let's go.
Let's go. I'm doing my mod view thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like it?
It's actually I actually do like it.
Yeah, it's way better than the stream manager thing. I think I actually do like the mod view, but I don't like the stream manager view.
Yeah.
That's kind of
I haven't seen a stream manager.
Yeah, you can go and what it's called. Let me see. Are you are in English or Finnish?
Oh, of course I'm in English.
Yeah, it's
Englando.
creator dashboard from options, and
Okay.
then on the upside you are live, manage the stream, and
Yeah.
that is the stream manager, and that is something I don't like. I think that's not done properly. It's good, but it could be so much better, I think.
So let me see. It's a new week. There was a lot of esports played during last weekend, but as we spoke a little bit beforehand, it doesn't really make sense just to go through like results and shit like that because everybody can read those themselves. So we can just go over the results quickly and then concentrate on something a bit more fun. And today the bit more fun is called the underdog stories, which I personally enjoy a lot. What do you guys think?
I think most people do. I mean, who doesn't like a good underdog story? With
Yeah,
that said, I think we have quite a few.
Yeah, and usually the underdog stories they mean good games, because if just everybody who are supposed to win, there's usually not such a good best of threes or best of fives going on. But if there is an underdog story, it usually means better gameplay too.
100%.
Yeah. With that said, let's take a quick peek to ESL Pro League and the results slash standings from both NA and EU. And after that, we can talk about the big underdog story of EPL.
Okay, I'll do some. Yeah, you can talk. I will have to do some minor adjustments to
Someone's here.
stream.
Thank you. I got a delivery. It's a receipt.
Okay.
Alright then.
Of our. So here in Malta, you can't drink tap water, right? So we ordered 120 bottles of water and some other beverages that they forgot to bring us 4 weeks ago. They said they will bring them within an hour, and it's been 4 weeks and we still haven't seen our cleaning equipment. So it's time to call them today and ask what up.
Well, that sounds like Malta to me, so
Yeah.
everything in order.
Yeah, and while you were talking about that, I got our results in here and not my Twitter. So yeah.
Nice. Pretty good.
Yeah, it's
So-
fucking Monday today. Yeah.
So on Friday we had shitloads of games. On Saturday and Sunday we had shitloads more. So
Yeah.
I'll just go them over quickly. On EU side on Friday, first of all, Virtus Pro killed Tyloo, FaZe Clan overran OG, and Mouse Sports overran G2. Then on Saturday, FaZe Clan decimated Force. Fnatic and NIP played a tight series where Fnatic won 2-1. Sunday, OG won against Vitality. Fnatic won against FaZe Clan. Navi won against Astralis, and Mouse Sports bested OG.
Yeah, and just to give, if you are not looking on ESL Pro League, what these games were, the Friday's games were the last round of the group stage, and actually the 3 games in Saturday, OG and Vitality was also Saturday game. They were tiebreakers consisting the places 2 and 3, and who goes to second phase. So losers in Saturday's games were eliminated, and the Sunday's games were games in phase 2.
So, with that said, at the moment, the EPL EU Stage 2 standings after the first game, so every team has played a game, the standings are as follows. Fnatic, Mousesports, and Navi are all on 3 points after winning their first games, and Astralis, FaZe, and OG are 0-1. Then a quick look towards the EPL NA. We had 4 series during the week. 3 series during the weekend. They were all played on
Friday.
yes, and some on Saturday. Well, Saturday for us, Friday for NA, because of the time zone difference. But anyway, we had Swall Patrol losing to MIBR, Furia winning against 100 Thieves, and Liquid winning over Evil Geniuses. Which means that now the group stage in North America is over. Liquid, EG, and Furia went through, where MIBR, 100 Thieves, and Swall Patrol did not. The funny thing is that
Yeah, actually,
the teams that...
Forapest goes through, so MIPR is true.
Oh, right. It's different than EU, of
Yes.
course.
Yep.
So Liquid, EG, and Furia all have 3 wins and 2 losses, and MIBR, 100 Thieves, and Swall Patrol were all 2 wins and 3 losses. But
Yeah.
I think MIBR's round difference is -21, but MIBR won against 100 Thieves.
And
Hence,
possibly Sword Patrol 2, I think.
yeah. Hence,
did.
they won the tiebreaker. So even with the worst score out of those 3 bottom teams, they still went through because they won the right game, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely won the right games, because the 2 they won are the ones who are beneath them, right? So I think the interesting part, or interesting, I don't know, but interesting, but for both EU and NA, I think it's quite expected. There's not massive, upsets or anything, but still, to some degree, like MIBR going through, Furia going through, 100 Thieves doesn't. I don't know. We didn't exactly predict everything 100% correct, but I think both of these groups started with a lot of upsets, and the weaker teams won a lot of games, but at the end of the day, the stronger teams actually prevailed and made it through. And I think this has been something we've seen all over ESL Pro League. Same with Group A and B in the EU ones, right? So quite interesting stuff. It seems like teams are adjusting to playing like this much more at this.
Yeah. Then talking about the underdog story of EPL in EU, to be exact. I mean, there's only one option here, and it's definitely OG.
Of course, I mean, there is no discussion, but then of course, I didn't predict OG to go through, but I still don't think it's a massive upset or anything. I mean, out of the 4 teams in that group, Mouse, FaZe, OG, G2, we all agreed they are the 4 strongest ones. Then obviously I argued that G2 might be stronger than OG, but very well done by OG. They obviously played really, really well in the beginning and picked up a couple of quick wins, if I remember correctly. And G2 looked rather shaky, but then again, FaZe, OG, and G2 all ended up on 9 points, so it was a very, very close one. But hey, hands down, OG has surprised me and played better than I believed, but I'm still a little bit worried about their future in ESL Pro League with that said.
Yeah, a good thing to note here is that OG, so if we look at their EPL results as a whole, I mean, 2-0 against Tyloo, 2-1 against Mousesports, then 2-0 against G2. Then they lost to Virtus Pro 1-2, and to FaZe Clan 0-2. Then winning Vitality 2-1 for the playoff spot, and then losing to Mousesports 0-2 in the first playoff round. But even the loss against Mouse Sports, it was 16-14, 16-11. So the game was definitely not a run through for Mouse Sports. And I don't know. There was some Alexi B tweeted the image of Mantu's internet that he was literally just warping on the server. I don't know whether that was the case throughout the entire series, but yeah, I mean, it seemed
I
like
mean, that has happened to a lot of teams, and there's been a lot of talk
yeah,
about that in particular. And obviously, that's the sad reality of playing everything online. And it's too bad. I think we heard something similar from Mouse when they actually played each other in the group stages, and
yeah,
I don't know. It's sad that it happens, but we can't really do anything about it. But I really want to point out, and I know we have kind of different opinions here. You two have rated OG higher than me all the time, and I rated the other teams higher than you all the time. But from my point of view, I'm at least starting to see a pattern where a lot of these strong teams, the first few games they didn't perform on the level we expected, but now they are getting there. Mouse Sports maybe the best example, who struggled heavily against OG in was it the second game or something of the group stages. They lost two maps, like clearly like 16-2, 16-5, and I think now we are starting to see Mouse Sports actually playing on the level they should. They have done pretty well, in my opinion, now for the last few games. And I think, honestly, and you two might not agree, and that's fine, but I really believe that OG did get somewhat of a better start than they should have had, because other teams were not ready to play like this, and I think they will have a much harder time moving on. But I'm hoping for the best. OG has, as I said, surprised me, of course, but it might get tough now.
Yeah,
yeah,
as I said earlier, OG has been grinding the online tournaments while Mouse Sports and other teams are just played offline. So that is something that is helpful for them in the first matches. But now the other teams are also getting used to the online setup, so it's way closer, and there is no difference right now if you are played online or offline before the EPL.
It's just I don't want to take anything away really from OG. I think, but this is just reality,
Yep,
as
I
I see
agree.
it.
I agree.
I don't want to discredit them or make it sound like their wins meant nothing, because of course they do, and this is still good signs for OG. But I think we are getting into the real kind of game.
Yeah, but OG still won the Vitality at Saturday,
Yep,
so they are playing pretty good CS right now.
they are for sure. As I said, I don't want to like put them in the shadow. These results are very good for them.
Yeah, but
yeah.
I agree. If this was played offline, OG maybe wouldn't go through the first group stage.
I believe that's true.
What I like to point out here is that when you look at like OG from like their start at Group C and the fact that they are now in the playoffs, when you look at the playoff teams, you have Fnatic, Mousesports, Navi, Astralis, FaZe Clan, and OG as the black horse or whatnot. Because we
Yeah,
have
this is top
so
6 in the world
Navi,
right now.
yeah, we have the top teams in the world and OG.
Mm.
OG is ranked 15 at the moment on HLTV. Obviously, as we've spoken about the rankings, it's not so black and white, because sometimes it takes months before teams kind of fall in their right places after doing worse than they've done before, or even if you're doing better than you've done before, because it takes time for you to collect the points. But we have 5 teams from top 10, 4 of them are from top 5. And then we have the number 10 ranked team, which is FaZe Clan and OG. So when it comes to now talking about the underdog stories, there is no discussion that OG is the underdog of this playoff tournament or the playoff phase. It's clear. And now OG, they lost against Mousesports. Now they have series against Navi, Fnatic, Astralis, and FaZe. Even if it wasn't OG, if OG was G2, it would still be an absolute mountain to climb.
For
But
sure, this is super super tough, and I mean honestly, I think if OG, like if they would move on from this, that's amazing. That's incredible. But I think even picking up a win or two is a huge deal for OG. It
Yep,
doesn't get any
definitely.
harder than this. So like a 1 win, 2 wins, I would think is more than enough to impress me at this point.
Yeah, and when you talked about the rankings, it is a rankings from 1 week ago, so it hasn't calculated the weekend's matches. For example, the win against Team Vitality.
I don't think those count until the season is the tournament is
Yeah,
over. I think
actually true. Yeah, it might be.
yeah. So the results doesn't apply until the tournament is over. So because it doesn't go by who you win, it's about the placement.
Yeah.
But so with that said, now let's put on the reality shoes for a bit. You are OG, and you know that you have 4 series left. You want to win 3 of them to be able to get further. You are playing. You have 3 series that are against top 5 teams, and then you have FaZe Clan. The way I see this is that OG is the team who has absolutely nothing to lose. They have nothing to lose. They can only gain some if they can continue with what they've been doing. Now, it's still kind of hard to say whether OG has what it takes to beat these teams. We've seen them show something. We've seen them challenge these big teams. Like they did not lose to Mouse Sports in a clear fashion. It was 16-14, 16-11. It was a tight series. OG could have taken Nuke. In my opinion, they probably should have taken Nuke and forced the Dust 2 in that sense. And it would have been very interesting to see OG going against Mousesports in Dust 2. It's hard to say that they have a fighting chance, but that's kind of the beauty of it at the same time. I am a little bit biased because I really like Alexi B. I think he has amazing character. He's an amazing human being, but at the same time, it seems like he can make the teams around him perform kind of over their level, in a sense.
That is
And
definitely true. Nothing, you can't argue that point. That
Yep.
is definitely.
so if I am gonna be bold, I think OG, they can do it. They definitely can. It's gonna be some sort of a miracle if it happens. But I think OG is the team that can do it because I do believe that if it was Vitality in OG's place, I think they would have a lot more pressure than what OG has at the moment. I think they can kind of calm themselves down and say, hey, let's just enjoy Counter-Strike. Let's have fun. Let's play together and see what comes out of it. Stick what they've been doing. They've been doing a lot of things right. And you can see it the way they play that they are kind of starting to weld together properly. So there is definitely something here.
Yeah, to be honest, I think OG has much bigger chance to do that than the Vitality would have.
I agree with that, but I
Well,
also
Vitality has
believe
been bad.
Yeah, agreed. But with that said, I'm gonna be honest. My honest belief is that OG has no chance.
Yeah, I also think that FaZe and OG will decide the last place in the last match.
And look, that what I'm saying has nothing really to do with OG's level because OG is good.
Yep.
There's no doubt about that. But this group, I mean, it's absolutely crazy. Honestly, I think if I did a power rankings for the world, the best teams in the world, we might have top 5 in this group.
Yeah.
Like I can't really justify putting almost anybody above any of these. Maybe Liquid, I guess. Maybe EG is in the discussion, but that's it. And this is as hard as it gets. So no shame for OG if they lose all games. That means fucking nothing because this
Yep.
is as tough as it gets.
Yeah,
Okay.
realistically, I think for me, seeing OG here is not that big of an upset because I predicted they would be here. Of course, for me, seeing Face here is I thought that it would be G2 that will be here, but I didn't see OG winning Team Vitality as an upset, and I didn't see OG going through from the group, even if it's as a hard group. I didn't see that as a massive upset either. So I think if you've looked how OG has been playing lately for recent tournaments, I think this is not that big of an upset that it looks in the paper.
Okay. Before we move to the next topic, I'm gonna do something interesting here.
Yeah.
For the sake of sports romance and for the love of underdogs, we have 4 series left for OG.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm gonna tweet this out so we remember our predictions. So we have OG versus Navi.
Good today.
Then we have OG versus Fnatic. We have OG versus Astralis. And OG versus FaZe Clan. Now,
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make a quick template for myself. There we go. So, let's do predictions for our underdog. Yeah, tell me, how do you think these games will end?
Do you just want a
Starting.
winner or loser or
No, no, no.
match score?
I want the match score. So let's start with Janne. You go first, and then Mika and I'll be the last in line.
Okay. Let's see. So OG is gonna win one map out of all of this. They're gonna win one map against Fnatic and they'll lose the rest 0-2.
Okay, so
I
one
know
win
it's
against Fnatic. No, it's
one map
okay.
win. They're not gonna win the series. They're gonna win one.
Yeah. So they're gonna get O2'd by everybody else but Fnatic.
Yeah. Sorry, OG, but I believe that is actually the case.
Okay. Mika.
Yeah, I would say Navi will win 2-1, Fnatic will win 2-0, Astralis will win 2-0, and OG will win 2-1.
OG will win phase 2-1.
Yes.
Okay.
So 2-0 for Fnatic and Astralis, and 2-1 for Navi, and then OG will win phase 2-1.
Okay. I'll say that OG wins against Navi 2-1. They lose 1-2 against Fnatic. They'll lose 2-0 against Astralis. And they'll win 2-1 against FaZe Clan. No, actually, they're gonna 2-0 FaZe Clan. So I'm gonna give OG 2 wins. Navi and FaZe Clan. They'll get a map against Fnatic and they'll get 2-0'd by Astralis.
Okay.
Okay, I tweeted it so we can go back to it.
So yeah, now it's official.
Now it's official.
Right. No backsies anymore. Okay,
Yep.
got it. Okay, if you don't have anything else on that topic, I just want to ask quickly about this group, or well, it is a group.
Yeah.
Who rank the teams for me, 1 to 6, and well,
Oof.
I guess how you believe it's gonna play out, but essentially it's just the ranking, how good they are.
Okay,
Not
it's
that
going
easy,
to
but-
be. It's going to be. Whew. I'll say.
Let's put it like this. Give me a top 3. 1, 2, 3.
No. It's going to be Astralis, Mousesports, Fnatic. FaZe is gonna be dead last. I think Navi is gonna be 5th and OG 4th. So
This is so hard. Like honestly, I just realized I shouldn't even ask because I don't know how to do this myself.
Yeah,
I say Mouse Sports Australis, Mouse Sports Australis, Fnatic, OG, Navi, FaZe Clan.
yeah, I have the same, but OG and Navi is different. It's 4 and 5 is reversed for me, but other than that, I would say the same. So Mouse Sports, Astralis, Fnatic, Navi, OG FaZe.
The funny thing is, I actually believe after seeing some of the latest games that we are actually back in a situation where Astralis and Navi might be the strongest teams. Which looking at the beginning of these or ESL Pro League, it didn't look like they looked pretty bad, both of them. But I think they found their.
So you say Astralis, Navi, and
I guess it has to be Mouse Sports at this point. And then Fnatic and FaZe for me are maybe a little bit behind, but they are so fucking close.
so OG is dead last for you.
Yeah, they are for sure. I don't think that's even close because, like, for me, I think FaZe is quite a bit better. I think they showed that when they played each other, but again, that was like a amazing day for FaZe. They played absolutely brilliant, but I think Fnatic is also a very, very stable team. Like they don't have as high of a peak as any of these teams, I think, but they are just super solid. So I don't know. I can't compare OG to these teams, and honestly, I think that if I made, like I said, a world ranking right now, I think this is actually my top 5, and it would be Navi, Astralis, Mouse, Fnatic, FaZe, something like that in order. So it's yeah. Either way, I think I just wanted some kind of answer. I wanted to know what you think, so we can move.
All right. We're going to move on, and we're gonna go travel to Los Angeles in the United States of America. We have Flashpoint, Rush Frag Repeat, and whatnot. Quickly, some results from the weekend, and then we're gonna move on to talk about the futures and the underdog meininki. We had Mad Lions 2-0 against Contact, Cloud9 2-1 against Envy, Dignitas lost 2-0 against Gen G, Fun plus Phoenix won 2-1 against Contact, Havu 2-0 Cloud9, Mad Lions 2-0 Fun plus Phoenix, and MIBR 2-0 against Gen G. Which means that now we have our playoff bracket. We have upper bracket and we have lower bracket. The first matchup of the playoff round is going to be Mad Lions against Fun plus Phoenix, Gen G going against Cloud9. We have Havu against Chaos and Jobless against MIBR. Any thoughts, ideas, hopes, whatnot?
I was about to say something about these results. I think all these results showed us, the ones that you rabble on about there, is that Mad Lions, MIBR, and Habu are the strongest teams here. I think that's what it shows. They are quite a bit ahead of everybody else, and also just want to add as a Swede, I'm a little bit disappointed with Dignitas. I really thought they would have a chance against Gen G. Well, admittedly, maybe they had a chance, but that wasn't a very good performance, I think. So looking at these games in the upper bracket, I think it's very, very clear that Mad Lions, Habu, and MIBR are huge favorites in their games. Gen G Cloud9 is the one that is close. And I actually don't know how to call this one. I think Cloud9 has been quite disappointing to me, honestly, even though like they got to the playoffs, that's good, but they haven't really improved or been at the level I want to see them at. And I think Gen G might actually win this series.
Yeah, Mad Lions are definitely hot right now. They have lost only one game in this whole tournament. It was against Havu in their first first group stage match of the first group. So after that, they have won 5 series in a row.
Funnily enough, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So Havu has played 7 series in Flashpoint so far, and they have lost 3 maps.
Yeah.
Yeah, and two of them
That's
against Mad Lions.
Yeah, they've played 16 maps and they lost 3 of them.
Yeah.
They lost 1 to Copenhagen Flames and 2 against Havu,
Yeah.
and that's it. And we criticized them a lot for benching Hunden, and actually after their loss against Havu, we actually trashed them. We said that they were stupid to do that, but it seems like they are fucking burning hot.
Yeah, they're, they're
yeah.
definitely the biggest favorite to win this all. In my
I think so
opinion.
too. I don't like. I thought so. Quite a let's say like it was something like a week ago we talked about it, and I think Mad Lions at that point had already shown that they are most likely the best team here. As I said already, of course, Havu and MIBR I think are the ones who can challenge them, but I do think Mad Lions is just the strongest team right now. MIBR maybe actually, I'll give them some hope. I think.
All right. As a bit of an because in Flashpoint I think it's harder to look for an underdog story because a lot of the teams are very on par.
Yeah.
These are mainly tier 2 teams. I don't know. You tell me if I'm biased, but to me,
You are.
thank you. But to me, it seems like I personally I obviously hoped that Havu does really well, but to me personally, it has been a bit of a surprise how well they've played.
Yeah, definitely they almost didn't get in the whole tournament. They lost two out of two of the qualifications, and they only get invited after that because they were in the final of the both qualifiers, and they needed one more team, so they invited the Havu, but Havu was almost out of the whole tournament.
Yeah.
So it's
So-
definitely an underdog story.
Yep, I think so. Honestly, I don't think like even from the start, all of us kind of believed that Habu has a pretty decent chance. But at this point, we probably put them up as one of the favorites if we have to like choose 3 teams. And I think obviously that's better than we expected. So yes, they have. It's an underdog story, but I don't think it's a massive one or anything. We kind of gave them already some credit and some possibility to do this, but a small overperformance at least from what we expected.
Yeah, like before the Flashpoint started, I think uh, the even getting to playoffs would have been like a success from them, and now they are going into playoffs as one of the favorites. So I think it's way better than we could have expected from them.
Yeah, I guess I agree, but I do think I don't remember if we did. If we did, maybe I said something else. But if I have to think about it now, I would guess that we would have said, playoffs is good for them,
Yeah.
and not going to the playoffs is like that's the cutting point, right?
Yeah.
They should go to playoffs because that's a good result.
Yep.
Not going there is a bad result, and that's it. So obviously this is very good. But should we maybe? What do you guys think about who's the favorites, like, or who has the best chances?
Well, judging from what we've seen so far, I think it's eminent that Mad Lions is the strongest team going into the playoffs. MIBR is up there. I still, even though the way I want to look at the Havu situation, even though now it seems like they are the ones to beat in a sense as one of the strongest teams in there, but coming from losing 2 qualifiers and then getting invited as kind of like an outcast and then playing their way to the playoffs in such a fashion, to be honest, I still do think that if and hopefully when Havu goes far, it's definitely an upset considering
Yeah.
the way they came into the tournament and everything.
Yeah,
Obviously,
definitely.
all kudos to them for performing the way they have performed, but I still do think that other teams should have been able to beat Havu before, and it just seems that the Finns have found their fighting spirit.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, they're playing really well, and I mean, we talked about this quite early on when Flashpoint had just begun, and honestly, I think it's very surprising. You know, these players, like we said that time too, you know, it's kind of old veteran players, really. It's not, you know, the young talent coming.
Yeah.
And for them to get this to work this well at this point in their career is it's very surprising, but it's also super cool to see. You know, I think this should really be a lesson for a lot of players who start getting up there in age and maybe they give up or maybe they lose their motivation. This is such a good story of keep on grinding and you can make it. You know, this is super cool. I like this a lot.
But at the same time, one thing to put so Havu's average player age is almost 25. MIBR is older.
Well, yeah, but MIBR's players are superstars from
True.
you know a few
Yeah, yeah. Okay, that's a
So-
fair point.
you know, I don't think we can, you know, compare
Yeah,
or sorry to Fallen, Fur, and Taco, you know?
that's fair. But yeah, it's a very good kind of. There have been. It seems like Finns, or it might be that I'm just very fucking biased again. But it seems like Finns are very good when it comes to being an underdog, because in many sports, Finns are always kind of overlooked because we are a small nation and we have our superstars, but our superstars are usually the amounts are very limited. Like before, we had one superstar in Counter Strike who was Allu, and that was the case for years. And now we're kind of, I think it's part of this Finnish sisu kind of thing that we might not have the best equipment and the biggest army, but fuck it, we fight like motherfuckers.
Yeah. And we have talked about those three teams, but I want to pick up the fourth one to these players. I want to rise up the Cloud9. They have only lost 2 series in this whole tournament, and they
Yeah.
are looking pretty good. They of course Havu beat them fair and square this weekend, but they have only lost to Envy and Havu, and they have won everyone else. So I
Well-
want to pick them for one of the contenders in these playoffs.
That's completely fair. I think, you know, I'm being quite harsh on Cloud9 because I really expected them to be better. I would have mentioned them as one of the favorites when Flashpoint started, and now I don't. And the reason is just that I've seen a lot of their games. I think they have not looked as good as the results do. Also, just to mention, they have not really played. You know, I don't think they have played any top teams besides Habu.
Yeah, they have not faced the Red Lions.
Yeah, they have, you know, Fun Plus Phoenix, Dignitas, Hopeless. What is there else? Well, Envy, and they
Copenhagen
lost
Flames,
one of those
Envy.
competitions. Like, I think they have had an easier journey here,
Yeah.
and I really think it's just something. When I see them play, I'm not impressed. I don't think it's gonna be good enough, especially against Mad Lions or MIBR for that matter. Habu, I don't know, maybe. I don't know. I'm kind of counting them out, but that might be calling it too early, though.
Yeah,
We'll
but
see.
this is completely new team also, though they are still evolving their gameplay. So I think reaching playoffs is good for them, and actually I think they should beat Gen Z, and then the real games start for them.
Well, we'll see. It's just I'm mainly disappointed because I expected even more. Like I really thought they would be better than this. And with that said, they only lost 2 series. I know, but I just don't like what I see from them.
Yeah.
That's an interesting take. At the end of the day, when you look at the Cloud9, the roster, you have Sonic, JT, Floppy, Motum, and OC, and it is fair to say that they are somewhat what you could call no-namers.
Yeah.
Sure.
But so is
Um,
Havu.
Yes, well, for us it's not, but
Yeah.
for the big majority
Yeah.
it is.
For the
So,
big majority, they never heard about any of Havu's players.
Yeah,
for sure.
exactly.
yeah. Well, you can say the same about the Cloud9 players too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
definitely.
They're both the same. I mean, of course, for Americans, maybe Cloud9 team is somewhat known, and for Finnish, of course, the Habu is, but for the rest of the CS:GO population, both are no-namers.
Yep.
Yeah, and but it is a very interesting take because in a way, Flashpoint has. I think the range of the teams is very vast because I think like tier 2/tier 3 Counter-Strike is a bit of a clusterfuck when it comes to ranking the teams
Yeah.
because there you have these kind of sprints that some team plays really well for a tournament or 2 months and then they just disappear. So yeah, and what you just said about Cloud9 that even though they've only lost 2 series, but they've been shaky. It's not like they've been going from victory to victory in a great fashion. It's kind of like a ongoing struggle that it just seems like they're trying to learn to fly and they manage to jump from branch to branch, but they're not flying properly, kind of thing.
Well, let me ask you this: since we're talking quite a bit about Habo here, they have obviously done well this far. How do you see them, going forward? However, like right now, what do you think they will achieve? Let's say this.
This what? You blocked out a bit.
Oh, this year, like 2020, how is it gonna look for them? Are they gonna be rank 1 team or a top 30 team?
So it's either top 30 or rank 1.
I'm just asking, how do you see them going forward? That's all.
Well, it's very hard to dictate at this point, but it really seems like they are. Their grind is starting to pay out. I think they have. If Havo can continue playing like this, if they can build on what they've been showing in Flashpoint, they can get to top 15. I don't honestly. It's hard to say that this team would have top 10 potential. I'm not sure if the players have that in them. Obviously, in a perfect world, it would happen, but I don't want to predict them to being top 10 because I don't think we've seen enough yet. What we've seen now, if they continue like this, if they continue improving, they can be top 15. I think they can be a major team. They won't win a major. They won't possibly play in the playoff of major, but they can become a major team.
Yeah, I was
So-
just saying the same, that they need to get to major to show what they're really made of, because most of the top teams are playing in EPL and Havu is playing in Flashpoint, so they need to get to major. And actually, the new qualification system for major of Rio, I think, is good for them because every team has to qualify. So
It's very good for them.
So that is very
Okay.
very good for them.
Okay, I'll say that. So you asked what they will achieve by the end of the year. I say, by the end of the year, Havu will be in the playoffs of a major. It might mean that they lose in the first round, but I think that's what they can achieve. It's 9 months left. If they can build on this, if they can get the hype up from, let's say that they win Flashpoint. I'm not saying they will, but if they win Flashpoint and they are able to build on that, I think they can be a team that can make it to playoffs of a major by the end of the year. But they'll probably get eliminated on the first round, but I think they can get there. We've seen similar stories happen before, and I think Havu can do it. I don't think they will ever win a major with this lineup, probably, but I think they can make it to a playoff stage.
Okay, so I have 2 things to bring up here. First, is Havu gonna be ranked better than ENS at the end of the year? Yes or no? Yes or
Yes.
no?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so back to Flashpoint though, because this is kind of why I asked the question, because I believe as well that Havu, sure, they can be a pretty stable team. They can probably be around top 15. They can probably qualify for a major, like looking at what they achieved this far. But I also don't believe that they have the, potential to go much further than that.
Yeah.
And I can't really back
Me
that up
too.
with much than a feeling, but I think other teams in Flashpoint does have that. And I want to ask you about it. So I think MIBR can actually get back to being a top 10 team. I think they show more. They can probably challenge top teams better than Habu, for an example. But I also think Mad Lions has the, very, very good chances to become becoming a top 10 team, maybe even better. Like, honestly, these players are still very young and they are doing really, really well for themselves. So my question is, I guess, what do you think about the other teams in Flashpoint, and do you see them going, to becoming a top 10 or even better team?
Okay, so I think at this point we should only talk about the teams that are in the playoffs of
Yes,
Flashpoint.
Yes, the 8
Okay.
teams that are in play.
Okay, so I think I have, when it comes to Mad Lions, I have to agree. I think the Mad Lions roster has potential for days, as it seems at the moment. They can be a top 10 team by the end of the year. Fun plus Phoenix, I don't think they're going anywhere, to be honest. Then we have Gen G. Gen G is a bit of a wild card in my opinion. They have, like, we've all seen what Bentet can do. Automatic Kusta, we've seen them being able to perform. I don't think Gen G has what it takes to be top 10.
Well, this is kind of the crazy part, because this is why I brought up the question. I don't think so either, but I still think, actually, looking further down the line, I think Gen G has the potential to be a better team than Habu, because I actually do like Gen G, but they are not performing their best right now. I do, however, think that they have a lot of potential in this team.
Yep.
Then
you can tell.
then we have Cloud9. So I'll place Gen G in top 15. I think they can get there, but top 10 is going to be very hard.
Actually, it's funny because Gen G is ranked 16 right now, by the way.
Yes, so they only need to one rank higher to get.
It's a full potential.
Yes. Then Cloud9. I have unfortunately very little hope for them. I think if they are still in top 30 by the end of the year, it's good for them. Top 20 might be achievable, but yeah. With Chaos, I don't think they're gonna go everywhere. I don't think that lineup will stick together for long enough so we could talk by the end of the year. And the reason being that I simply don't see a team with a certain character to be able to stay together long enough to be able to reach anywhere.
Can I take the next one?
Yes.
Yeah, Orcless are Orcless for a reason.
Good point.
Yeah, you can continue.
I was just about to say that I don't think Worthless is going anywhere either. And then we have the MIBR. Yes, I do believe MIBR can be a top 10 team.
Definitely.
I still... my problem with MIBR at the moment lies on this certain individual called Epitachio de Melo. I don't like... Taco has been fucking shit lately, unfortunately.
What? Okay.
Excuse my pardon my French. Taco's results. He was kind of getting there, but then his performance have been really up and down. There's no consistency. Other players, it feels like Fallen and Fur, it seems like they found their place every now and then. They're kind of getting back in the form, and Taco is the anchor they're trying to pull with the team.
Okay, so I just want to jump in here because I understand where you're coming from, but
From Finland, yes.
Yeah, so that's why maybe you don't understand this. It's a little bit too difficult. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, I think it's fair to mention, I understand your point about Taco, but if you look at Taco, how he played and how he was when MIBR was on the best, I mean, this is kind of the kind of performance he gave then, It's not like the numbers for Taco weren't better even at that point than they are now, really. So he has been in this team before with this kind of performance, and they were a world-class team. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't want to say too many bad things about Taco. I think he's doing fine, honestly.
How? But when you look at his statistics, he's not doing fine, man.
How? I mean, he's been far from terrible, like the last few weeks. I
But
mean, I'm not saying the numbers are amazing, but they have never been for Taco. He has never put up amazing numbers.
no, but he's been consistent. Now he's not consistent, so he doesn't offer the support that he can offer. That's
Honestly,
the issue that
I don't know about that. I mean, I'm not saying, sure, he can do better, but I really don't think he's performing much worse than he was in the past when MIBR did well, because it's just really not how, I don't know, how he plays. I don't like really calling players support players and whatever, but I really don't think he is doing much worse than he has been in general. And maybe I should, with that said, he's it says more about him than the team. He's always been kind of bad in numbers.
No, but here's like one thing. So if you look at the last 6 months of Taco, in October he was from October his performance went up steadily, a little by little, and then we reach end of January, and then it goes. It's not consistent. That's the issue. I do understand you, but I think if Taco can find his consistency, get back, it's not a massive improvement. It's a little, but that small improvement that he can personally do to help out this team would be very needed.
Sure, but actually, I don't do this only to disagree with you. I mean, I do agree Taco can step up, but the thing is, I really think this team relies on Fallen, Fur, and the other guys to be the star players, actually, that they need. And that's what they can't do. They are inconsistent. Fallen and Fur are super inconsistent. They can be amazing, they can be complete trash. That's how I see it. And I think Taco is kind of in the role he's always been. And honestly, I think this is actually on the other guys to step up, not Taco. And maybe I'm being too nice against Taco here, but I really.
You're definitely too nice to Taco.
The
When
thing
you have
is,
to think.
I don't. No. The thing is, I'm not saying he's doing amazing. It's just I don't believe he can be amazing. It's Fur and Fallen who can be amazing.
Yeah. I'm not. Taco doesn't need to be amazing. I'm not saying Taco needs to be amazing. I'm saying Taco needs to be a little bit better. And if Taco is a little bit better, if he fills out his own shoes a little bit better, if he learns how to tie his shoelaces again, the little bit he can perform, like the little performance enhancement he can do, will help the other players in his team to play better also. I know that I don't like these support player roles or whatnot, but I think if Taco can enhance his performance a little bit to be a little bit more consistent, it would allow the other players in the team, the star players, to shine a bit brighter. You have to remember that even though Taco has never been like the massive star of his team, but he's been from 2015 when they joined Luminosity and then to SGA, to Liquid, to MIBR, Taco has been there. He's a two-time major winner. He's won pretty much every single thing you can win in Counter-Strike. Hence, why you have to look at him as someone who has to perform. You can't just look at him and, oh, well, but he's never been great. He's been in the number one ranked team for years. Like, they were number one ranked team for a long time, and Taco was there, which means he's been part of the best team in the world for quite a while.
So, my issue with this is, when they were the best team in the world, they had superstar performances by Fur, Fallen, and Colsera.
Taco was still consistent at the time.
I think he's consistent now too. He's consistently average right now all the time.
But consistently average is not good enough. He needs to be consistently good.
It is good enough if the other players play well and they don't. I mean, I understand what you're saying. I just think the problem is actually something. But also, just to mention, and this really needs to be mentioned, MIBR, I think their biggest weakness for years have been the 5th or the 4th and 5th player. They just can't seem to find anybody who fits this team. And I think right now, KNG is doing a decent job. I've seen quite a lot of MIBR's games. I think he is quite consistent. He's doing well. But Mayan, the latest guy they got in, I don't know. It's really hard for him. I think the guy, looking at his past, he looks like a perfect player to join this team. He's done really well for himself, but he doesn't seem to find his spot. Honestly, I don't know. He struggles a lot, and this has been the case with a lot of players who went through MIBR since their, great period when they were dominant. And I don't know. They just don't seem to be able to find the missing piece, kind of.
Well, Mayern has been utter shit.
Well, yes, that is one way to put it. Yes.
I mean, I am looking at the performance of Mayern from the last 6 months.
Sure.
In October, he averaged 1.2 rating, and since in January he was at 1.06, and now he's 0.9. So, in 6 months he went from 1.2 to 0.9. So it's like this, and there's no other way to put it than utter shit. He is a 17-year-old. He is a 17-year-old. So I do give him a certain amount of slack because he's a youngster. He still has his career ahead of him, but he's been shit.
Yes. So the thing is this, and this is really important. I understand where you're coming from here, but Mayan joined this team this year, like beginning of the year or end of last year. I can't remember exactly what day. But before that, he played in Sharks, and in Sharks, his stats are really good because they play shit teams, right? So then he came into MIBR, and he has really never had good statistics in MIBR. But with that said, I really think if he can get some more time, if we start seeing him take off and actually becoming, kind of the player that Coldzera was, I'm not saying he's going to be the best player of the year 2 years straight, right? But if he can fill the role that Coldzera once had as the really stable player and a good fucking fragger, then maybe MIBR can start climbing their way. So this far, it's not good enough, agreed, but he probably needs some time.
Yeah, and you have to watch statistics differently when you play different caliber of teams. If you are playing against shit teams because you don't get invited to against best teams, you are performing better. And if you are playing the best teams in the world, you should perform a little bit worse if you are not one of the best teams in the world. So you have to always look behind the statistics too.
Fair.
Yes. Well, it's basically, the difference is going from like DreamHack Open Atlanta closed qualifier playing Ben's anime team against playing, Team Liquid, Evil Geniuses, Furia, and, so on. So it's a very big difference, but it obviously still shows the guy's young and he was performing really fucking well against those teams. So of course he has potential to become really good, but it will take some time.
Yep. And to also put that in Brazil they speak Portuguese and in Argentina they speak Espanol. So there's a language barrier. So it might just be that he doesn't know the callouts in Portuguese yet, and that's why he's lacking. So
honestly,
we'll see.
I think Fur and Taco and everybody sometimes they don't understand the callouts by the looks of it.
So maybe they should start with finding common tongue.
I'm just kidding around, but I really think MIBR is doing much better. I was the first one to criticize them before, and I think they're doing much better. And it actually starts looking like they could come back, at some point. And I thought that was over. I thought the train left the station a year ago, but it's looking better and better. So it's a very good sign for them.
Okay, so the train has left the Counter-Strike station, and it's time to talk a little bit about League of Legends before we wrap up today's talks. We wanted to bring up one more underdog story, and our underdog story of League of Legends from this spring comes from LEC, and it's called Mad Lions. Mika, please work your magic.
Yeah, let's look up the spring playoffs table first. So we are playing double elimination, so only one team has dropped out from tournament this first weekend. We got 3 series. We got G2 against Mad Lions, and we talk about that series a little bit more later on. And we had Fnatic against Origin, which Fnatic won 3-1, and we had Misfits against Rogue, where Rogue won 3-1. So next weekend's games will be Mad Lions against Fnatic in winners bracket, and OG against Rogue in losers bracket, and G2 against the winner of the OG Rogue game. So those are the games for next weekend, but we will be talking more of the upcoming games later on this week. So we are looking at G2 Mad Lions, and we had a situation where G2 Esports got to decide if they want to play against Mad Lions, which were the 4th seed, or Origin, which was the 3rd seed. And they picked up the Mad Lions, which is 4 rookie players and 1 moderately experienced player, but pretty much it's a team full of rookies. And the team is playing first year of LEC. So the organization is rookie, the players are rookies, and they still managed to get top 4 positions.
I was gonna say they didn't look like rookies in this.
Yeah. But
Or
yeah,
maybe they did. I don't know. G2 looked kind of messy. With that said, first time ever, I actually really enjoyed watching League of Legends. So
yeah, that was a crazy series, and there were a few points to point out, and I will go this 5-game series game to game and point out some things that was the deciders in these games. The first game, Mad Lions came out with real force, and they just didn't give G2 any chance in that game. Shadow and Karsi was playing marvelously, and Oromi won his lane 100-0 against Wunder, who is rated number 1 in the top lane for the whole league, and the rookie top laner really gave him some lessons how to play the lane, and this was utter domination from Mad Lions, and I said earlier that maybe G2 is experimenting some things and trying some new stuff, and that's why Mad Lions might take one map. But this is not some experimentation. This is just basic meta game from G2 Esports, and they still got smashed like heavily, and that was something that was a surprising thing, and Mad Lions definitely came out with the full force.
yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty fun because we talked about this call for quite some time on Friday before the game started, and we were definitely in agreement. Not that my knowledge is good enough, but we talked about it for a while, and it definitely seemed to us, and especially to you, that Mad Lions, the odds for them picking up just one map were really good, and potentially even more than that. So it was kind of cool to see them, instantly come out and win one game, and it was just fun. And then the whole series kind of was I don't know what circus. So you can continue talking about it. Just wanted to mention that we talked quite extensively about Mad Lions should have a chance to at least pick up a map or
and we that was the big betting tip of the week, that you should bet that there will be more than 3 maps here. So that definitely was on point.
Yeah, I mean, it was something like, wasn't it like 2.3 times 2.4 times the money for over 3.5 in a best of 5 series? I mean, that's in general pretty crazy, but it just shows how one-sided this was beforehand, of course, and how big the ups.
Yeah, and beforehand, Mad Lions had 7.5 for their victory. So the
Yeah, I
odds
think
were
some had even 8.5 at some places,
Yeah.
but yeah.
yeah, and I actually did bet just before. I said in the podcast that you shouldn't, but I still did just before the game started. I want to believe, and then I put some money for Mad Lions, and that was actually a very good bet. But I wouldn't still have recommended that to for anyone, because that was such a one-sided match in advance for G2.
Yeah, no, of course. I mean,
Yeah.
like, eight times the money bet is always gonna be, quite crazy. So yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
Um,
yeah, okay. Tell me.
I'm just saying that I'm averaging 1.5k ping at the moment, so
Yeah, that sounds
for
good.
me it's a bit robotic, but yes,
Stop
I don't
bragging, man.
I don't have much input on this because unfortunately I wasn't able to follow this, so please continue and I'm just listening.
Yeah, the second game, actually we saw the game that we were expecting. G2 Esports just totally outclassed Mad Lions, and I think that was due some interesting choices from Mad Lions' part. I think the Shadow was definitely the best player of this whole series, but in the second game he sucked. His Kindred was not good, and overall he couldn't do anything for his lanes. So that's a big thing why G2 Esports got so big of a lead and they dominated the second game, and that was something we were expecting to see in this series, that kind of dominance from G2 Esports, and after this it might have looked that okay, it's gonna be 3-1 and Mad Lions get one for free, but yeah, as we know, it didn't go that way. But this was actually the only game I think that G2 Esports looked good. And
All right.
yeah, so that gave us feeling that okay, this gonna be a real series here. And then third game just made it so much better, because once again, when Lions show up, and they got pretty heavily outclassed in the beginning, and G2 Esports got some lead, and they shut down the Oromi in the top lane, and Wunder did play some good laning phase, and got much help from Jankos. But after all, Mad Lions played better in the end game, the late game, and they did get a victory. This was the first game that was pretty close until the end. So it was a good League of Legends. Like, this was one fiesta of a game, but still it was close one, because first one was like one-sided, one for Mad Lions and one for G2, and this was the first one that was pretty close, and it took 40 minutes to finish also.
Question. So about the third game, I'm looking at here that Mad Lions, they only got 3 towers, where G2 had 11. G2 also had Baron. They had 3 dragons, where Mad Lions had.
It's second game. I think you're watching the towers.
Oh right. Oh yeah. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
but,
Sorry.
but as you see, that the second game was very like one-sided. So
Yeah.
only 3
Very
towers,
one-sided. Yeah. I just looked at it wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
But then I think we're moving on towards the fourth game.
Yeah, fourth game. It was game point for Mad Lions, but the G2 Esports managed to get through, and mostly because I think this draft sucked for Mad Lions. I think this was a really like good draft for G2 Esports if you compare it to Mad Lions draft. I don't get how they can draft this badly. Maybe it's inexperience in this kind of situation, and they want to play too safe, because they have 3 tanks. They have early game jungler and only 1 real damage dealer in this comp, and you can't win this caliber games with 1 damage dealer, because G2 Esports is good enough team to go and just murder that one damage dealer and then win the fights with that. So that was really bad draft from Mad Lions, and it gave G2 Esports a chance to get back to this series.
Yeah, I can just confirm that you did say so before the game even started, that this is definitely not a good draft, and G2 is gonna bring it home easily. And well, that was the case. So I really don't like, usually it happens a lot that people after the game, people are like, this draft was horrible, this doesn't work, this is shit. Because it's always super easy to be smart, after the game has ended, then, everybody can sound like a genius with the result in hand, right? But this definitely seemed to be the case, that it was quite obvious that this was a misstep by Mad Lions. So
Yeah, definitely. And even if Carsey has been a really good performer in this whole series, 2-4-1 in this game, he did nothing, and he was the only damage dealer in the comp. So that was a quick one, and it gave us Silver Scrapes, which is the song that is always playing when League of Legends games goes to 5th game. So there is a theme song for 5th games in League of Legends, and that's something, if you see in Twitter that okay, let's see some Silver Scrapes, and it means that we are going to 5th game of the series.
all right,
Yeah,
learning something today then.
yeah. But
Even old dogs can learn tricks, right?
yeah.
Well,
And
I'll probably forget it by tomorrow, but
yeah. I will be playing Silver Scrapes for you sometimes, so then you remember it. But yeah, the 5th game, of course, really hard place for rookie squad. Because G2 Esports is known that they are the kings of Game 5. I think in the organization history they have never lost the Game 5, and before this, and like they are very well known that if it goes to 5 games, they are going to win it, and that's actually something that people were expecting right now, and actually they were very close to win this one. And
this was actually a sick game.
Yeah,
like,
that was.
Like I said,
yeah.
just I don't watch that much League of Legends. I haven't in the past, but like this was super fucking fun to watch, honestly. And Game 5 was something else. I don't know. It was super fun.
Actually, fun thing to note here, it's one of the rare League of Legends games that I've seen where you average more than 1 kill per minute. 38-minute game, and we have 47 kills.
Yeah. It's not that uncommon for G2 Esports, and actually, I think Fnatic were having like something like 9.85 kills per in average in group stage the regular season. I think they had some nearly one kill per minute average for but of course there are weaker opponents where you can get some style points and get your average higher in the regular season. But yeah,
but this was
it's
43 and 43 versus third. Like Mad Lions has 43 kills, G2 has 13.
Yeah,
Holy shit.
This was very Mad Lions' favorite game, and like if you see their jungler Shadow, it's 16-2, and he's smashing everyone, and actually this game went like Mad Lions won the team fights, but G2 Esports played the map, and we actually got the point where G2 Esports was the one that has destroyed the inhibitor, and they actually got the whole Nexus open, and there's no turrets for that, and still Mad Lions were winning the fights, and they got a point where they tried the backdoor, and Mickey X and Caps were hitting the Nexus, and Caps has one ability that has two which does two things. It damages the opponent or opponent structures, and if you are standing on it, it will like make you jump from the direction that you are facing. And and he was actually hitting the last hits the Nexus, and he used that ability and he jumped himself away from Nexus and didn't get to end the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally like one hit from dead.
Yeah, I think it was 12 HP in the Nexus. So
It's absolutely crazy. I mean, it could have definitely ended there, but
yeah.
I think it's this might be. I'm gonna bring something up, and this might just be because I understand Dota 2 much better than I understand League of Legends. But it really felt like one of the few times, and I understand this happens, but I don't watch that much League, right? So I don't see people playing the map as much in League as in Dota, like split pushing, using this kind of thing, right? But here it was like super obvious that, well, it was probably the only chance G2 had to win as well at some point there,
Yep.
and that's what made it super fun. But I think this is the kind of thing that makes Dota 2 a lot of fun for me, because a lot of times we end up in base races or decision making. Should we defend? Should we push? Should we get the objective? Or should we, all of these questions. And this was super. This was, a fucking amazing game for me, even though I'm not as interested at all in this as Dota 2, but this was so much.
Yeah, and actually, when Mad Lions win in the end, and I think it was deserved win, but like there was it. I think it was Carsey who was interviewed after the game, and he said that I think G2 Esports misplayed in the end, and because our Nexus was open, they should have like go as 5 and try to run for it and hit the last auto attacks, and because they have the part whose ult is that he can freeze people in place, that he should have tried to freeze the Mad Lions players in place and go and run for the Nexus, and still they tried to team fight and get victory by that, but they should have just run for the Nexus and try to end it that way, and the Mad Lions were afraid of that.
That was definitely something that came to my mind. Sorry, Temo, I'm just gonna finish this quickly. So that was on my mind a lot somewhere in the middle of the game towards the end, and it really felt like, why are G2 going out to fight them when they clearly can't do that?
Yep,
and
exactly.
they could, the Nexus dies in seconds,
Yep.
if they just somebody has some kind of control. And this is the part obviously where I don't understand the game well enough, but it really felt like you can just fucking run in there, somebody controls a few champions and the rest hits the fucking Nexus, and it's GG, that was the feeling.
So here's where my question lies. Would it be that after the way the series had gone, because I would imagine that going into the series, the G2 players had the mindset, okay, it's an obstacle on our way, but this is an obstacle that we will just jump through and go forward. And the way that the series had been played, that they find themselves in game 5 when they're in a situation where they can't win team fights, that they started respecting Mad Lions a bit too much, and because of that they gave them a little bit too much space, a little bit too much respect, and that's what cost them the game.
Yeah, maybe that, but I also think that they had not prepared for that, like mentally. They weren't prepared to be challenged in this game. So
exactly.
I think
so that's why they started.
Yeah, it's some kind of mental block. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's totally mentally. They lost because weaker mental, I think.
So now we are in a situation where Mad Lions is playing in the semi-finals versus Fnatic. And before we wrap up today, can or do Mad Lions have what it takes to challenge Fnatic for a place in the finals?
Of course they can challenge, definitely. Like me and Cameron, we have very different opinions of how strong the Fnatic squad is. Because I know Cameron rates Fnatic like third place team. He rates G2 and OG over Fnatic. In my opinion, Fnatic is right now the strongest team in the league, and I think they will show Mad Lions how to play this game, and I think Fnatic will be in the finals. But there is a chance of Mad Lions going through, because Fnatic is playing around Reckless, which is the best ADC ever in Western countries, and Mad Lions are playing around Garci, which is very talented new ADC and is actually like called like new Reckless, young Reckless, and because their playstyle is very similar, they are both very high caliber carry players, so there is a possibility that the new generation will show the old guns how it's done, and Mad Lions can take victory, but I still think it's heavily Fnatic favored.
Yeah, the odds also speak for that. I mean, Mad Lions are like 4.3, 4.5 to win. So,
Yep.
well, it's half from the G2 game, so should be easy.
And with that said, I think it's time to wrap up the podcast for today. Something to mention is that we will have some guests in our show on this week, actually, already. I'm not going to say who, but there's going to be two of them at the same time. And they are from a Counter-Strike organization. We have a CEO and a partner of that organization. As soon as we lock up the date of when these two gentlemen will join us, we will tweet about it and make a massive fuss about it. And with that said, we're also contacting or communicating with other human beings also to try to get some more people joining in. With that said, I think it's time to say thank you and have an amazing week to everybody. Any
Thank you, good
final
night.
words?
Yeah, thank you.
You're
and
going to
we'll-
sleep?
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, and we'll see you tomorrow.
I can't
Yes.
go to sleep, man. There's way too much Dota and CSGO today, so no, that's not.
Perfect.
Yep.
So thank you very much, and we'll see all of you tomorrow.
See ya.
See ya.